Hi guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Smash Knits Knitting Podcast. My name is Ash, aka Smash, and welcome back to the Smash Knits Knitting channel. I'm super excited for episode 20 of our podcast, guys. This is crazy. I can't believe it's already been 20. It does not feel like that much time has passed, but yeah, we're at 20, which is crazy. I'm so grateful to be able to share all my knitting with you guys and that you are interested in it. You know, those who've been around from the start and had to deal with all of my terrible camera issues, and then all of the people who are here now for a slightly more improved experience. Like, you can tell that it's kind of a bit dark at the moment, and that is because today is a very cloudy day. But not cloudy in the sense that it's just consistently overcast. It is bright and then it's dark and then it's bright and dark again. So I had to close the curtains so that we could have some consistent lighting in here. So if you notice it's a little bit darker than it usually is, that is why. Now, if you like me and the things that I knit, and you like colourful knits and fun knits, feel free to subscribe. No pressure, but I just thought I'd put the reminder out there. We have recently reached 3,000 subscribers, which is so exciting. Like, I remember hitting 1,000 subscribers and I was blown away. So the fact that we're at 3,000 now is kind of crazy. Such a big thank you, like from the bottom of my heart. Yeah. From the bottom of my heart, I am so grateful. I'm so thankful. So it's so crazy that we are at 3,000 right now. Now, before we go any further, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Boonwurrung people of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respect to elders past and present. So it's pretty crazy that we've gotten to this point. Like, I could never have imagined that, 3,000 people would want to listen to me ramble about my knits, but I'm so grateful that you guys do. And, quite a few of you I feel are a bit more newer to the channel, so you might not know me too well. So I was thinking that I would do a Q&A video. So if you guys have any questions for me, I don't really mind how personal they are. Feel free to leave a comment down below with your question and I will answer it in my Q&A video. So that's kind of fun. Just like a little knit and chat Q&A, something just a bit more casual, just to get to know me a bit better, because I do sprinkle in little bits of myself obviously in every single video. But if there's anything that you guys are ever wondering about, like, this is your opportunity to ask me so that I can let you know. Now, obviously I go into great detail here about all of my whips and my finished objects, but if you do want to kind of see like progress, a little bit more insight into my knitting life, I do have an Instagram, which is smash.knits, and you can check out what I'm up to, where like kind of progress on some of my whips, if I've started new whips, and a few more pictures of what my finished objects look like. So I'm trying to be better and update more frequently on there. So feel free to check that out at smash.knits. I spoke about in my last podcast episode that I'm going to be introducing a word of the month in each of my podcast videos. And last month's was persnickety, which means you're like fussy about small details, and so this month is going to be inconspicuous. So inconspicuous essentially means like, not easily noticed, not attracting attention, just being inconspicuous. So for example, when I go to Little Woolies and I make a yarn purchase, I try to be a bit inconspicuous about it when I get home and I have to show John. So let me know down below what you're inconspicuous about. It's such a fun word to say, inconspicuous. I loved it as a kid. I first heard it used in there's like this comedy duo called Leno and Woodley. They had like 2 seasons of an Australian TV show and I absolutely loved them as a kid. And there's a scene where Frank just like loves to say inconspicuous, and as a kid I just like a sponge absorb that up, and so I love that word, so I use it all the time. Now, of course, just like every other video, everything I talk about today is going to be linked down below. I do have a size inclusive Ravelry bundle down there, so if you want to check out some cool patterns that are size inclusive, feel free to check that out down below. I also have like my projects links below, so if there's anything that I forgot to mention in this video, like regards to the yarn or anything like that, I will have everything linked down below. Now, I should also mention what I'm wearing today. So this is my Eva cardigan by PetiteKnit. I knit this before I decided to go exclusively size inclusive on this channel, but I'm obviously not going to frog it, and I'm still going to wear it because it's probably one of my most worn knits. I chuck this on in the morning when I get up out of bed before I go to work and I'm sitting and knitting on the couch. I love this because it's just so easy, so warm and so cozy. And I knit this in a combination of Rico Creative Make It Tweed and Peyton's Dreamtime Merino in like a grey colour, and it creates this really lovely cool rainbow speckle, and I just really love it. So just thought I'd mention in case anyone asked. Alrighty, so let's get into the finished objects. So the first finished object that I'm going to show you, I am in love with. I'm just beyond happy with how this turned out, and that is my Curiosity hat by Tori Yu. So this is a really cool like double layered reversible broken seed stitch into color beanie, and I first saw this on Instagram and I just instantly fell in love with it. She did it in this like, I think her sample is like this beautiful kind of pink variegated yarn, and then she's got a lighter pink solid color, and it just looks so beautiful. If you've watched this channel for a while, you would know that I love a beanie. I especially love like a multi-layered beanie which is, you know, the Oslo hat. I've knit so many, at least like 4 or 5 Oslo hats, but I was getting a bit kind of bored of the same thing, but I still like the design. And so this hat, the Curiosity hat, kind of like satiated that need for me. So like I wanted to knit another Oslo hat, but I didn't want to knit like the same thing again. But this kind of incorporates some really cool texture in it. It's like knit like a muscle burrow where you like knit one big tube, but it's like because you're folding it in half inside itself, you get 2 beanies. So I should probably just show you it. This is it. This is my beanie, and it's so cool. So this is a Curiosity hat, and you can see that amazing broken seed stitch. It's just so cool. I just love it so much. So you've got this view here, which is your like full broken seed stitch pattern, and then you can turn it inside out, and you've got the plain color, like the plain solid color, and then you've got the brim as broken seed stitch, which is so cool. It's just such a neat effect. It's just such a cool thing. So you've got like 2 really cool different style beanies in one, and you only have to knit one beanie, and it's just so cool. I just love it so much. And so what I was talking about before, how it's like one big tube, you can see like it's like one massive big tube. It looks like kind of like a weird sea cucumber. I don't know, it just gives sea cucumber vibes, but you can see here where you like knit a majority in this broken seed stitch, and then you knit like the end in the solid color, and then you fold it like inside itself. Let me see if I can do this. Oh, okay. Look at that. Success. Yeah, and you fold it inside yourself. Inside yourself. Woo! Inside itself. And then you've got this really cool, cute beanie. Oh, I'm just beyond obsessed. Now I'll put it on for you so you can see the full effect of how cute it looks, because it's so good. Okay. So this is the textured side. So you can see there. So this is the textured side. And it is so cute. I just love it so much. Anyway, sorry. Calm yourself. It's really cute. I really love it. It looks so good. And one thing I love about the Oslo hat, which I love about this hat, the Curiosity hat, is that it's like not too much room at the top, like on the crown. Like I find that like some beanies like kind of look like they have like a little thing, and they look, I don't know, like a fin. I don't know what it is, but it's like too high. Whereas this, which is what like, and the Oslo hat just like have a really good amount of space in the crown so that it's not too long, and it just looks really cute. Really, really cute. It's just perfect. So this is obviously like the one where it's like all broken seed stitch, and it's just like, you can't look at this beanie and be like, oh wow, that's not a cool beanie. Like it's such a cool design. It looks so cool. I love it so much. I just want to wear it forever. Anyway. Now I'll flip it inside out and you can see the other side. The other side is cute, but I definitely love like the whole broken seed stitch side, but it is still very cute. And it is like versatile. Like if you want to incorporate a bit of like the main color more in, like it's like, how cool was that? 2 beanies in one. I love it. I love something that looks hard to make, that looks complicated, but it's super easy and you get like 2 things for like the effort of 1. Oh, it's just so good. It's so good. I just love it. I could wear it forever. It's so cute. I cannot wait to wear this at Bendigo. Bendigo. I nearly call it Bendigo. Anyway. Yes, I cannot wait to wear this at Bendigo. Crazy hair. Okay. So I had to fix the hair. But yes, then you can see, now you can kind of see what it looks like on. And like I said before, it's just that perfect length. I did knit this to the length, so she does give you instructions on how long to knit each section for, and I knit mine to the length. I made the size adult medium and it's perfect. I didn't gauge swatch for this in the sense that like I didn't swatch for gauge, I swatched more for color, and I think my gauge was slightly bigger, but I think it fits fine on my head because you're folding it and it's like becoming kind of like a 4-layer, I guess. Brim, it does like have negative ease, which is good, so it's not gonna fly off your head, but it's not too tight. Now the beautiful variegated yarn that I used in this beanie is the Athena Fibre Arts Romulus sock in the color Fairy Riot, and I had this in my stash from when I frogged another project, and it's this really cool like rainbow, but it's like a deep rainbow, like it's a very rich rainbow. So here it is. This is what I've got left of it, but it's like this beautiful, very like rich rainbow. So the colors aren't like, they're like kind of not fluoro, but they're definitely still bright and vibrant, but dark, if you know what I mean. And then I just used this Nundle Woollen Mills like undyed machine washable cone that I got given to me by John's parents when they were traveling around Australia, and I was initially wanted the one with the nylon in it, but this is just the pure merino, so I was kind of racking my brain what to use it for. So when I saw this project I thought, oh, perfect, I think I can use this for that. So in this pattern, she recommends using fingering weight or sport weight yarn, whichever one you have, I guess. Either works well because you're knitting to the length, and like beanies are, you know, it's not like a garment where you have to be exactly precise. You can make a beanie that fits you just by knitting to the length that she specifies. I think it's a really good project if you have leftover sock yarn, because I used about 37 grams of the variegated yarn, and that's about 138 meters. I don't know how much I used of the natural cone because I didn't weigh it before I started knitting with it, so that's on me. So I can't tell you that, but I can say that I used about 37 grams of the Fairy Riot, which is really good because most of the time I feel like I have at least like 40 grams left over from a pair of socks if I'm knitting like a 64 stitch or like 70 something stitch sock. Most of the time I have about like 40 grams or so left over. So I think this is a really good like stash busting project if you have like a kind of a weird sock amount to use, like you can't make another pair of socks but you also don't know what to do with it. This, and it's like variegated yarn or like hand dyed yarn, this is a really good way to use it because you don't need a lot because you're holding, obviously you're working with 2 colors. And it's really easy. Like, it looks way more complicated than it actually is, but it's every other row you're like alternating the color, so you just like carry the yarn up, which is very simple. If you just like look on YouTube like how to carry the yarn, it's super easy. And the broken seed stitch is super easy as well. Like, all you're doing is one row you do knits and purls, the next row you do knit, and then again knits and purls, knit. It's just very, very easy, super simple. The pattern was really well written, it was super clear, there was like no point in which I felt like I didn't know what to do, and it's just great. It's just mindless because you're just knitting in the round. Most of the time you're just knitting in the round, you're not even decreasing or increasing, you're just chilling out. So it's a great kind of mindless knit. So if you're sitting at home watching TV, and it's a really good project because you don't really have to think about it. You don't have to remember much. And you get this really awesome, cool textured beanie. I think it's my favorite beanie I've ever made. I've made a few when I first started off knitting, like when I first began knitting, I knitted quite a few beanies and I didn't really like them until I got to the Oslo hat and I was like, yeah, this is my jam. But this one, my favorite. By far my favorite. It's so cool. It's just beyond cool. And the whole thing's knit in 3.25mm needles, so it doesn't feel like it's taking too long. Another thing I would like to mention, and I did go into detail about this on my last episode, but if you are going to pick colors for this, I would recommend using a variegated yarn that is like more dark, like not, doesn't have to be like dark, but like enough that a lighter yarn would contrast with it. If you're picking a contrast, like a plain contrast color that is kind of too similar with your variegated yarn, or it's not, or it's darker or not as bright, that's when you won't see this broken stitch pattern as clearly. So I would recommend doing a few swatches and seeing if the contrast is good enough, because I had to knit quite a few like mini swatches up to see the broken seed stitch would be defined enough. So that's just something to think about when you are choosing colors for this, is just pick something like a variegated yarn that is significantly darker than your plain colored yarn so that you get that really nice effect. Obviously, I'm not like, you know, I'm not the color work police, so you can do really whatever you want, but that's just my recommendation. I don't think I mentioned before, but the Romulus sock is like a really lovely 2-ply yarn, sock yarn. I really, really love it. And you get 365 meters per 100 grams, and it's 80% merino and 20% nylon. Then the Nundle woolen mills, you get like it's like a 400 gram cone, and you get about, I think, 285 meters per 100 grams, but I don't think that's right. I think it's more around like 300 and something meters, like 350 meters per 100 grams, but not exactly sure. But it's 100% merino wool, this one. So yeah, so that is my Curiosity hat by Tori Yu, and if you couldn't tell, I can't get enough of it. And I mentioned this last time as well, but I thought I would just mention it again in case you missed the first one. But where you carry the yarn, there is this kind of like weird seam. I can't see in her sample photos if that's there, and I can't see in any project pages if that's there, but that's just something to note as well, that when you carry the stitches, it obviously can't repeat the pattern, so it does kind of look a bit weird. But again, like I think it's coming up on camera way more than it is in person, and if you just like wear that part at the back of your head, you're not even really going to notice. Like I just wear this at the back of my head and I have no issues with it. It's fine. But if you do know a better way of like stopping that from happening, leave a comment down below. But yeah, I don't know how to prevent that from happening. It obviously doesn't happen on the other side because you're just working stockinette, but I'm not too sure why it does that. And then for the crown, you've got decreases, and I just use double pointed needles for that. You could probably use magic loop, but I find that I just automatically go to double pointed needles when doing beanies on the top because you don't have to usually do them for very long. So the next finished object that I want to talk about is another accessory, and this is the DRK Everyday Cowl by Andrea Mowry. I had never knit this before, but there are a lot of projects on Ravelry for this particular design, but I thought it was really cool, and I bought some Maximoo yarns at the Yarra Valley Woollen Handicraft show or market. Gosh, it's such a mouthful, that name, and you would have seen it in my last podcast episode because I talked about it in my acquisitions. But I bought some luxury sock from Maximoo yarns in this color Plushie, which is this one. And then I also bought some like Suri alpaca, what's it called? The alpaca fluff, baby alpaca fluff in the same color. So cute. So these are these two together. And you can tell I pretty much almost used them all. But I was trying to think of a good birthday present to make for my friend Rahini, because every year I make her like some sort of like shawl, scarf, cowl thing to gift her. And I saw this yarn and I instantly thought these are perfect colors for her. But I didn't know what to do because I didn't realize at the time that the alpaca fluff is 300 meters per skein or 50 grams. And the luxury sock is 400 meters per skein, which is 100 grams. So I didn't realize that I had like 100 meters less of this than I did of this. So I was trying to find something that would only use 300 meters, some sort of accessory. And there's not a lot there's a lot that use like one skein of fingering, which is 400 meters, but not a lot that uses 300 meters of and has a finished object. So after searching through Ravelry, I finally found the DRK Cowl by Andrea Mowry, and I thought, yeah, this is the one. So essentially it is a garter stitch cowl. Looks so funny. Essentially it is a garter stitch cowl with like slip stitch stripes, and then it has like an I-cord edging around like the whole thing. And this is what mine looks like. So it looks kind of funny because essentially it's just like you knit it flat and then you seam it up the back. So it does look kind of like just like a big tube, but you wear it. So essentially it just looks like that. So that's what it looks like when you wear it on. I'm not going to put it on because I'm going to like spend too much time kind of fluffing around with it. But it's this really beautiful garter stitch pattern with these slip stitches, and it's so easy. It's so beautiful, and you can really see that like beautiful fluff and variegation in the Maximoo yarns in that plushy color. It's so pretty. And then there you can see like the I-cord edge is so pretty. I think it's just so delectable, so soft, and so lovely. Now you knit this on the bias, so it's flat on the bias, and then you seam it up the back using the mattress stitch. So you slip stitches on the very edges, so that when you do the mattress stitch, you've kind of got this like slip stitch faux seam that looks really cool. Mattress stitch is pretty easy, and at first when I was doing this, when I was seaming this up, I was like, why is it so messy? I didn't realize in the instructions that she recommends doing the mattress stitch from the wrong side so that it looks like this on the inside, which is like kind of ugly, but then it looks nice and neat on the outside. So that's something to keep in mind, is like read the instructions properly when you do it. But it's a very easy, like it's very easy and knit up very quickly. I think I probably knit this up in like a week, maybe. Yeah, I probably actually knit it up in like less than a week, but it took me probably like a few weeks just to do the mattress stitch, which honestly took like 30 minutes, not even in the end. But I just like procrastinate those things. I don't know why. But I think it's really pretty and I think she'll really love it. And I just think it's a really cool pattern. Like it's very easy. Again, it's like one of those just sit and chill and knit projects, and it felt like it knit up pretty quickly because you're knitting this on 4mm needles, so it's just like squishy and lovely and fluffy, and I just love it. Now in her sample she does have lots of different things you can do with it, so I just use like a variegated yarn, a fingering, and a lace weight held together. But you can, if you do want to, she does like a fade. You can do it where you do like 2 color stripes, which looks really cool as well. So there's a lot of things you can play around with and make it a little bit more unique to you if you want to go a bit crazy. So, and there are also a lot of different sizes. So I knit the adult small, but she does have like, I think from like a kid all the way to like an adult large, which is good. So if you do want to knit this for like a small child or something, there's that option as well. I feel like that would be a good option if you really didn't have a lot of yarn and it was like a good kind of stash busting project. It's just easy. I think a cowl is really easy because you can just like chuck it on and you don't have to like fiddle around with it too much, and it's not too bulky, and it'll look great with like a coat or a jacket or something, and it's just really, really pretty. Now, if I wasn't convinced I love alpaca lace before, I'm definitely convinced now. This feels so soft. Like it's like so squishy and so soft, and just feels like my hand just glides across it because of how luxurious it feels. So the Maximoo yarns in their luxury sock is 85% merino wool and 15% nylon, and this alone is so soft as it is, and it's a fingering 4-ply with 400 meters per 100 grams. And then the baby alpaca fluff is 75% suri alpaca and 25% silk, and you get 300 meters per 50 grams. And this is just so soft. I want to make everything with the suri alpaca, but I can't afford that. And it would just be very extravagant. I would just have a lot of fluffy things, but it just makes it feel so luxurious and so soft and so warm. I just love alpaca. So I'm very grateful that I got to use these two together. Now, I was working on very limited yarn. I'm pretty sure the adult medium was more than 300 meters. I think it was like 315 meters something, or 325. And I managed to just scrape by and just have, I think I used 49 grams. So I used 49 grams of this Suri alpaca out of the 50 that I had. And then I used 83 grams of the luxury sock. So couldn't make another sock out of this, but it could definitely use this for like colorwork cuff or like contrast or something like that. So really good stash busting project. I'm very happy with it. And would definitely recommend it. It's a very simple project, and don't think I've actually ever knit an Andrea Mowry pattern before. Like, tell me if I'm wrong, but it was, easy instructions, very clear. At no point did I, get confused or not know what to do. Very much enjoyed it and would recommend. So that is my DRK everyday cowl. Very, very happy. And I think I'll probably make one for myself in the future because I really love how it looks. Alrighty, so now I have a couple of sewing finished objects, but I won't spend too much time on them because I don't even have them here. So the first one was a marshmallow bag by PetiteKnit. I made one of these for my friend Ruth. It was her birthday, and I had some lovely kind of floral patterned fabric in my stash, planning to make a project bag for myself, but I thought actually it's kind of perfect for her. It's like these lovely colors, and so I'll put a picture of it up so you can see, but it's this gorgeous like floral. It's like got some mustards and oranges and pinks, and it's just really beautiful. And then the lining I matched to that, like that kind of mustardy color, and it's great. If you haven't seen the marshmallow bag by PetiteKnit, it's a gorgeous kind of drawstring project bag. It has like 3 pockets on the inside, and it's just adorable. She sells them on her Etsy, or on her website, sorry. And you can also buy the pattern if you would like to make it yourself. I think she also has kits as well, so if you did want to make it yourself but didn't want to have to buy the fabric or all the bits and pieces, you can buy a kit. I'll have that linked down below. But I love making them, and I go into great detail about them and show and talk all about them in, I think, episode 18, because I make like 5 of them and feature them all in there. So you go check that out if you want to know more about the marshmallow project bags. So the next sewing finished object that I have is called the Chubby tote bag, and this is by Sotak Handmade. They're on Etsy, and they have like lots of bag kind of accessory patterns, super cool. And I just wanted something like an easy tote bag pattern to make, and so I made this one. So this is the small size. It comes in 4 sizes, and I've got this like, I've already got like stuff in there. I obviously use it, and all the fabric is from Spotlight. I think this is like a Jocelyn Prost, I think it is, fabric collaboration with Spotlight. And then this is just like a cotton linen blend, this beautiful mustard color. But yes, this is my first one. I just love it. It's just a very simple, easy tote to make. You've got like handles, there's no pockets or anything on the inside, but yeah, it's just super cute. So I made one of those for myself first, and then I showed it to John's mum because we went out for Mother's Day for lunch, and then she said, oh, I'd like one because I'm going to Japan, so can you make me one? So I made a medium one for her, and I'll put a picture of that here. And then I was like, oh, it's my friend Petra's birthday, so I'll make one for her as well. I made her a small one like I did. So cute. And I made that in like a beautiful floral pattern with pink on the inside, so I'll show you that as well. I took photos. It just like helps so much more when you can actually see what I'm talking about, but I love it. It's like got box corners, very much like the PetiteKnit one, and it's just very easy. If you can sew in a straight line, I reckon you could make this bag. It has lining, you iron on interfacing, so it gives it a bit more structure, and yeah, I just love it. I just think it's so cute. And the small size and the medium size uses about 1/2 meter of fabric for the outside fabric, and then 1/2 meter for the inside. So you don't have to buy, like in terms of cost, it's a very affordable project to make, and it's just super practical. I feel like I could definitely adapt it to have like pockets, or even just do like a, you know, a magnetic clasp to clasp these two together. I feel like that would be really handy if you're doing 2 color work, to have like one ball on this side and then one ball on that side, and like pull from each side, and there's a clasp in the middle to kind of like keep them separate. I think that would be really cool. But yes, that is the Chubby tote bag by Sotak Handmade. Love it. Definitely will be making more in the future. Made 3 so far. Like, gosh, so that means I've made how many? Like 6 of the Patil Marshmallow project bag, and then I've made already 3 of the Chubby tote bag. I feel like when I get bitten by the sewing bug, I get bitten hard, and I just knock them out. But I also think it's also because like I make them for people's birthdays, so there have been like quite a few birthdays recently, so that's just encouraged me to make them. Alrighty, so now let's get into the whips. So this one you haven't seen before. I don't even think I think I sneak previewed it on my Instagram, but I don't think you guys have ever seen it here on YouTube. But this is the Clara Collar Cardigan by Famka, or I think it's Mippy the Label. Let me know if I'm not pronouncing that right. But this is an amazing Aran weight cardigan. It has like a scalloped lace collar and balloon sleeve, and it's just stunning. As soon as I saw it, I fell so deeply in love with it. I thought the collar was so fantastical. I just loved the balloon sleeves and the fact that it was just like such a cool, interesting looking cardigan. It was just like very fun and very flamboyant, and I just like love that. I just love that. Because I had some yarn in my stash for a little while, and I knew that I wanted to make a cardigan out of it because I really wanted a red cardigan. And I originally was just going to make a nice plain cardigan called the TULC cardigan, which is the ultimate lazy cardigan, and it's a great pattern, and it is very simple, and that's what I thought I wanted. But as soon as I saw this one, I knew, I was like, no, I have to make this pattern in red. Like, this is going to be my red cardigan. So let me show you what I've got so far. Now you might be saying, oh, you've done a lot. Like, I feel like that this is a lot to have done in between. But I think it's because I am filming my first like project vlog for this project, because it is just like a cool project. So I've just spent a lot of time knitting on it. So let me show you what I've got so far. I'm doing magic loop on the sleeve, so it's a bit all over the place, but let me see if I can grab it so you can actually see what it kind of looks like. But this is what I've got so far. So it is pretty much like a cardigan at this point. So I've done, I don't know if it's coming up. I hope it's not getting blown out too much because the color is so bright, and I've been wanting to upload this on Instagram, but every single time I go to upload it, it just gets like super blown out because it is such a bright red. It's a beautiful, cool tone red. But to give you a bit more detail about the cardigan, so it is worked from the top down flat. You start by working, you know, because it's a drop shoulder, like a European drop shoulder, where you you cast on here, you work like a trapezoid shape down until you get to about like where the start of the kind of armhole, underarm happens. And then you pick up stitches along here so that you can shape the shoulders. So it has like these beautiful kind of slip stitch detail from where you pick up on the shoulders. And then you work short rows along the top of the shoulder to shape the shoulder, which German short rows for this are like not very many. It's like very quick and easy. I know German short rows when I first started knitting seemed like this really kind of intimidating thing, but I promise you, it's not that hard. German short rows aren't hard, and you can do them, I promise. They seem really intimidating at the start, but they're not. Like, that's a conspiracy theory to make you hate short rows, because they're not that hard, I promise. And they shape things really nicely. So, and then you pick up, so when after you picked up and you've worked the shoulders, then you connect them like under the underarm, and then you can knit flat across the body. And then once you've finished once you work down the body, you go into the ribbing, which is 1x1 half twisted rib. So, which is really pretty. I really love how half twisted rib works, and I find it like it flows way more because you don't have to like twist the pearls. So you're only twisting the knits, you're not twisting the pearls. So it's a lot easier to kind of build up a rhythm. And then once you do the body, then you transition into picking up stitches for the sleeve. So you pick up stitches all along the armhole, and then you just knit in the round, no decreases until you get to the very end where you rapidly decrease. That seems like a lot, but it's really not. It's like obviously broken up into steps, and like rapidly fire explained to you can seem like a lot, but I trust me, it's not that much. And I feel like this is also flown by because it's like knit on quite a large gauge. So I think the gauge for this one is 16 stitches and 22 rows, and I'm knitting the size extra large, and the body is knit in 5mm needles, and the lace collar is in 4.5, and then the hem ribbing, so the ribbing on the bottom, is 4. So for most of this you're knitting with 5mm needles, which makes it really quick and easy. It flies by, which is great because you don't want to be knitting flat for very long. So the fact that I can get the body done pretty quickly is awesome. I feel like when I finally finish this and get to show you guys, you'll be able to see like all of the details, but I'm just going to show you a few details on this cardigan so far, because when I first saw it on Ravelry, I like obviously got drawn to the lace collar, and I saw that it was balloon sleeve and stuff like that, but there are lots of little details that I didn't first initially notice that I think are really cool, and it just adds a little bit more pizzazz and interest when you take a closer look at it. So I'll show you a few things. So for example, she has these slip stitches that run along the edge of the sleeve, and at first I was like, why are we doing that? Like, I don't understand what's the purpose of that. But then once you get to where the underarm is, you can see that those slip stitches run down the side of the body like that, and then she perfectly incorporates them. I'm really trying to show you this as best as I can. She perfectly incorporates them to flow straight into the ribbing, which is such a good detail. It's so thoughtful and it looks really good. And then on the front, because this has a double knit button band, but you have to pick up stitches for that, but you connect the double knit button band to the front where there are these little eyelets. So there's lace all along the front of the cardigan, but you can't really tell because it gets scrunched up when it's not blocked and it has nothing attached to it. But it has this like beautiful lace details that you'll eventually attach your double knit button band to, which looks really pretty. And it's got, again, those slip stitches on one side that flow down, and the lace with the slip stitches just flows perfectly, I don't know if I'm showing you that, into the ribbing again. So little details like that I think make such a difference, rather than cutting straight hard to the ribbing and not having it flow seamlessly and effortlessly into it. I just think it looks really great, and it's super thoughtful. Like, you can tell that she, you know, when she was designing this, she's like, no, she could have just left it, but she didn't. She made it really intentional and made it look really neat and professional. Now I'm a bit tangled up because I'm dealing with 3 balls of yarn, but again, I'm showing you more details. She's got this lateral braid going around the cuff, which is so cool as well. So that's another thing that drew me towards this. Like, I noticed this, but it looks really cool. So it's my first time doing a lateral braid. Way easier, again, than it looks. Like, I always was wondering, like, how do I do that? It looks complicated. Way easier than it looked. Took no time at all. And then you've got the half twisted rib, and then I just have to do an Italian bind off, or like an invisible bind off, and then I can start the other sleeve. But yeah, I'm really loving it. This is going to be one of, I can already tell, like, one of my favorite knits. It's so bright, it's so beautiful, and All the details just make it like really engaging. So I haven't gotten bored with it at all. I've just been having a really good time. At the start, I was a little bit like stressed, but not because of the pattern. I think because my gauge just seemed to be all like wishy-washy all over the place. I think that's more of a me issue. But in terms of the pattern, it's been very, very easy to follow so far. But I will talk about the yarn before I go into details regarding the pattern. But the yarn that I'm using is Knitting for Olive Merino in the color Red Currant, which is this beautiful, beautiful bright red color. I'm holding it double, and then I'm also adding in a strand of this Chaska Aqu Lace in the color 1004, which is a more bluey red. So these are more of like a red. Like it's not, I wouldn't say it's coming off a bit more warm, but it is more bluey. But definitely this is definitely more blue undertone, and I think that kind of gives me the desired red that I want, which is like a more kind of blue red, not an orange red. But again, I don't know how that's looking on the monitor because on the camera, because it's very hard to capture reds, bright reds on camera. The Knitting for Olive is 100% merino wool, and you get 250 meters per 50 grams, and it's fingering. And then the Chaska, you can tell I'm like, oh, whatever. The Chaska Aqu Lace is 75% alpaca suri and 25% silk, and you get 420 meters per 50 grams. So you get quite a lot of meterage in these. And I think this was about $25 Australian, which seems a bit expensive, but then when you look at how much you actually get, you get 420 meters. So it's quite a lot. They come in nice big balls, and it's a dream to work with. It's lovely and soft. And I really like the Aqu Lace. One thing that really drew me towards it is because the core of it is also red. So I feel like sometimes with lace, colored lace, if you've got silk in there, it like tends to be white, and you can kind of see that white through. Whereas I really like the Aqu Lace because it was a red core, and that's with all their colors. Like all their colors, the core is the same color as the fluff, and I really appreciate that. So you don't get that like kind of white shininess shining through. I don't want like a marl. I don't want a variegation. I want it to be like this solid color. So that's also something that is really good about the lace. It's really soft, very nice. The Knitting for Olive Merino is really nice as well. Both of these were in my stash. I got this gifted to me by John for like Christmas or birthday or some occasion. This I bought myself directly from Knitting for Olive, and at the time it was only like $11.20 per ball. So it was pretty good value for what I got. It's really nice. It's kind of, I don't know how to describe it, like moisturized, I guess you could. It doesn't feel dry, and it is nice. Like everyone knows Knitting for Olive is nice. It lives up to the hype. It's nice. It's good to use, and I would use it again, and knitting a whole jumper in just that would be lovely and luxurious. So yes, that is my Clara collar cardigan so far. I have been loving working on this. It's such a quick knit, and I'm very interested to see how it goes. So now let's talk about the pattern. Now, I have never knit anything from Famke or Mippy the label before. I follow them on Instagram, so I saw some of their designs, and they tend to go like very lacy, very feminine. It's very beautiful stuff, but nothing had really like caught my eye as much as this cardigan has. So I hadn't knit anything from her previously. She's like I don't know how to class designers. I don't know what like a small or a medium designer is. I can, you know, people like Stephen West or the Crabe or like Laura Penrose. I feel like those are like bigger designers. So I don't want to say like, oh, maybe the label is a smaller designer or anything. Like, no, like it's not insult or anything like that. But I haven't seen like a lot of people talk about them and their design. So I wasn't too sure when I paid for the pattern, because like, you know, how the pattern style would be written or what I was kind of signing up for. This is it's a very new design, so it doesn't have a lot of projects on Ravelry. So I was kind of just going in blind faith. I'm so glad I did, because this is a fabulously written pattern. It is very clear. It's not overly wordy. They give you stitch counts. So when you like, obviously when you start and you cast on and things like that, they give you stitch counts, but It's really great every time you like decrease or increase or there's any change in the stitch count. She does give you what you should have and how much you should have decreased by, which is fantastic because it's so much easier to keep track of how you're going when she does that. There are illustrations and directions to show where you should pick up and what direction you should be picking up stitches in. I think it is just a fabulously written pattern. It's very informative. It's not too much. It's kind of that perfect medium where she gives you instructions clear so they can't be confused, but also doesn't hold your hand throughout the entire thing. I have only read up to where I am currently at, so I'm about to start the other sleeve and then I'll go into the lace collar, so I'll be able to like check back and tell you my final thoughts on it. But so far I have been really enjoying the pattern. I think she's great. I think I will definitely be knitting more of her garments in the future, and I would definitely recommend this designer because yeah, I'm having a great time, and the pattern is just, yeah, I haven't found any mistakes either. Like, it's very good. So very, very happy with that. It's great to add another size inclusive designer to the list. So yeah, I can't wait to check in with you guys and see where I'm up to. I feel like next podcast I'll probably have it finished. I hope so. And like I mentioned before, I will have a project vlog out on this soon, once I finish it, of course, so you can see me knitting it, which is pretty cool. It's my first project vlog, so don't expect, you know, like documentary style cinematic photography. You know, it's trial and error. We're beginners at the vlogging. I had to take a break and have some lunch. Now I am back and we're going to talk about the next whip. So this next whip is replacing one I already had on the needles. So for a while now, probably like a year, I've been knitting a kid's sweater for my friend's kid, and that was the Storm Sweater by PetiteKnit. But I don't know why, it's just taking me such a long time. I did like pretty much like the collar, the body, and then I just had the sleeves to do. You probably would have seen it in my last video, but I just wasn't really motivated to do it. And then when I decided to pick up and do the sleeves, I came into a bit of a roadblock. One thing that infuriates me so much when it comes to knitting patterns is when the designers do not like give you instructions on how to incorporate the decreases when doing like patterned sleeves. So for example, like there's texture pattern all over the sleeves of the Storm Sweater, and she just tells you to decrease every whatever row, but doesn't actually give you instructions on how to incorporate them without like interrupting the pattern. So you have to kind of just like work it out yourself. And I just like I don't know why they can't just do that for you. It really frustrates me because you're paying for this pattern and they should tell you how to do this. And I think this is something that is pretty common with her like textured sweaters. Like I know that I've watched a few podcasts where they've talked about like I think it's like the Mowry sweater or something. Not the Mowry sweater, but like something else. Like those heavily kind of textured like oversized drop shoulder sweaters where like you have to do the decreases and you just have to figure it out yourself on like how to incorporate that into the pattern. I do not like that. I think if you're paying for it, they should tell you how to do it. So I kind of was getting really sick of knitting that, and one of my goals this year is to be ruthless. So I decided to be ruthless with this project and scrap it and frog it and start a different one. Now I'm still doing a PetiteKnit pattern because the only kid patterns that I have in my library are PetiteKnit ones. So I thought rather than spending more money on buying another pattern, why not just use the other kid pattern that I have in my library, and that is the Anchor Sweater or Anchor Sweater by PetiteKnit. And this is a really cute worsted weight circular yoke pattern. The yoke is decorated by 1x1 ribbing, and it just looks really cute. I think the first ever top I made for myself was an anchor top or anchor blouse or whatever, and then I think the first ever sweater I actually knit was this kid sweater, but in like a pink version for a friend who was having a baby. This baby's already been born and has been born for like 4 years now, but this is a small 4-year-old. So I'm knitting the 3 to 4 size, and it's just super, super cute. It's just got this lovely texture all over it, and the yarn is really cool. So I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but it's this lovely like forest evergreen color, but it has these really interesting kind of like speckles of blue and light green throughout, like a very subtle, like a very, very subtle And it just gives a bit more dimension to the yarn, and it's very, very pretty. So the yarn that I'm using is Cascade Yarns Cascade 220, which is like a worsted weight 10 ply yarn. And in the color, was it 9322? I'm pretty sure. Let me just double check that. No. Sorry, in the color 9685. And it's this color here. And it's such a pretty color. Don't know if it's really showing on the camera, that beautiful different colors, like that dimension. It's very, very pretty. And this is a really good affordable yarn. It's 100% Peruvian Highland wool, and it's not like it's not as soft as like a merino, for example, but it's definitely not rustic or rough in any way. It just feels like a good sturdy yarn. Like it feels like if you made a jumper out of this, it would last. And that's what I've heard. So I have only heard good things about Cascade 220. I've never heard anyone say anything bad about it, and I can attest that I have very much enjoyed knitting with this yarn. It's really lovely, it's plump, it's a really good knitting experience, and so far I'm really, really liking it. Now, this sweater is knit on a 4mm needle, which is a bit tight or dense for a worsted weight garment, but that's just what the pattern instructs, and I just think it looks really cute. I really love this pattern. I love the textured circular yoke. There's really not much to say. You get 201 meters per 100 gram skein. So if you were making a worsted weight jumper, I think I paid like $16 a skein from Little Woolies when I bought this. So it's a pretty, very like affordable yarn. It's very nice, and lots of different colors. So that's just a little quick one. Like I'm, up to the body, and then it's just 1 by 1 ribbing on the body, and then you knit the sleeves in stockinette, and then you do 1 by 1 rib on the end. It's so interesting to kind of revisit this project because, like I said before, this was like my first ever sweater project, and back then I was just like, oh my god, this is so crazy. Like I learned how to do make one left and make one right from this pattern. So it's pretty cool that I'm revisiting it and being like, oh, this is actually really easy now because I know how to do all these stitches and I'm not just learning it for the first time. But if you are someone who's never knit a garment before, I would recommend knitting like a kid jumper because it's essentially the same exact steps that you would do in an adult jumper, but just in a smaller size. So like the yarn and the time investment isn't that much, but you definitely get an idea of what you need to be doing and how to do those techniques just on a smaller scale. So it really made me realize like, oh, I can make a garment actually quite easily and it's not as hard as it may appear to be. So yes, very cute. And I've got a cute little stitch marker on this one. This one was gifted to me by a friend when they went to Amsterdam. And I think she got it from like it's a Penelope and Stephen West store. So that's very nice of her. So I used to use that one. It looks really fabulous with that beautiful green. Alrighty, so this is my final whip. Yeah. So the next is my final whip, and I don't think I started these last time I saw you guys, but I definitely had purchased the yarn. Now these are the I'm So Basic socks by Summer Lee, and I'm making these for my boyfriend John because it was our 8-year anniversary in April, so I thought I would make him some like anniversary socks. Now obviously it's like way past that now, but good things take time. But I've got 1 and a bit socks. So this is the first sock. It hasn't been blocked, so it looks a bit like funky, but the yarn is very, very beautiful and bright. It's like very autumnal, I feel. And the yarn that I'm using for this is Maximoo Yarns Luxury Soft in the color Fox in the Forest. I've been waiting so long to get this color, so I'm so happy to get it. And it's just this beautiful combination of like oranges and greens and browns and creams. So that's what it looks like, kind of the leftover of the cake. But yeah, it's a really fabulous color. John's favorite colors are orange and green, so it just really made sense that I would make him socks in those colors, which is why I wanted this particular colorway because it's just perfect for him. So I've made 1 sock, 1 very long sock, and then I've got my second sock there, and I'm working it through the foot of the sock, so I'll have this cast off pretty soon. I'm very proud of myself for sticking to 1 sock at a time, well, like 1 sock project, sorry, I should say, at a time. I did make a 2025 knitting goals video if you haven't checked that out. I'll have it linked down below. And I spoke about some of my goals. One of my goals was to only have one sock project going at one time, because I have a habit of falling into the trap of casting on lots of socks just because they're so easy, so portable, and so fun. I just have a bad habit of doing that. So I've, been pretty strict and made sure that I cannot cast on any more socks until I finish the ones that I've already started, and so far that's going well. So I've completed my pink socks, which I love so much, and now these ones. So these ones will be finished pretty quickly. Now, I did make some changes, obviously, like the I'm So Basic socks. They are very basic, and it's a free pattern. Actually, I should mention the I'm So Basic socks by Summer Lee is a free pattern, so you can go over to Ravelry right now and get it for free. But I just did like a small modification where I did 2x2 ribbing, and I just did it very long so that it's, John likes his socks long, so to keep them up, I thought I would add some extra bit of ribbing. And then I just did like a slip stitch heel and gusset, what I usually do. I think it fits well on the feet, and I've mentioned this many times before, but I pick up a stitch from the row below when I am doing my socks so that there is no hole there. So you can see there's no hole, and then you can see on this side that there's no hole, and that's how I get that. I pick up the stitch from the row below, and then I knit it through the back loop, and that like kind of twists it and makes sure that there's like no gap there. And I learned that from the Crazy Sock Lady in her like vanilla sock tutorial, which is on YouTube for free. She has that on there as well. So they're coming along well. Personally, it's not a color I would pick for myself, but I think for John, he's gonna love it, and it's gonna look really good in his like boots. And then I love the luxury sock yarn, which I spoke about before, which is 85% merino, 15% nylon, and you get 400 meters per 100 grams. Maximoo is local to my area. He's a wonderful dyer. Love lots of his stuff, and I always want to support local. So I'm so happy I can make a pair of socks for John from the place, from a dyer that's local to us. We've grown up around here and on the Mornington Peninsula, and we've stayed here. So it's just so nice that like to make these socks for our anniversary and have it be a local dyer from the area in which we have our relationship. So that's pretty cool. Alrighty, so that's all of the whips and projects. Now I've got a couple of acquisitions. Another one of my goals was not to buy yarn, and unfortunately I'm not doing very good at that, to be completely honest. You can shame me in the comments, feel free to, because I deserve it. Yeah, I deserve it. It's so hard to restrain myself, and trust me, I'm doing well. Like, trust me, even though I have bought yarn, like there have been many a times in which I've been more than tempted, and this is like me holding back. So after I really until Bendigo, which is in July, I'm stopping, okay? I promise. So let's get into my acquisitions. Okay, so the first one, which was a few weeks ago now, I have been eyeing off this colorway for such a long time. Julie's had it in the store multiple times at Little Woolies, and every single time I go in there, I look at it and I'm like, oh, that's such a nice color. I wish I could get it. And for some reason I decided, oh yeah, well, now that I'm on yarn restrictions, I'm just going to get it. And that's this. So this is Hedgehog Fibre's sock, and this beautiful color called Avo, and it's just the perfect, beautiful light green. It's so stunning. It's just this beautiful, beautiful light green. It's like not yellowy. It's like just that perfect pastel light avocado green. Like if you think of like when you blend up avocado and like cream together, that's what like this beautiful green color is. It's 90% merino wool, 10% nylon, and it's 100 grams, and you get 400 meters. And I really love Hedgehog Fibre's sock. I love the plumpness of the yarn. I love how soft it is. I just used it in my, I think they're called Harriet socks. Those beautiful pink cabled socks, and I just couldn't resist getting this green. I don't know yet what pattern I'm going to make out of it, but I know I want it to be textured. So maybe another cabled sock because it's so pretty. I am so drawn to some of these socks, but I also want to give a bit more variety to the channel and don't want to be always knitting the same sock designer. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I do kind of want to maybe make something from another designer, just so it's not too heavily, summerly. And now sticking with the theme of green, this is actually all of my recent acquisitions have been green. I don't know why. I think I was really in a pink phase. Now I'm into my green phase, but Little Woolies just got in some really nice yarn. It's from Indiacita. I think it's Indiacita, and it is the baby brush alpaca yarn, and this is so delicious. It is a 14 ply and it's this color bright green. It's like 80% alpaca, 20% acrylic, and you get 100 meters per 100 grams. So the balls are 100 grams, I think. No, they're 50 gram balls. Sorry, you get 100 meters per 50 grams. My mistake. And it's so beautiful and soft. She had a sample of like a blanket made out of a grey version of this. They have so many fabulous colors of this. And it was just unbelievably soft and light and scrumptious and just so beautiful. And I think this is like a really it's more expensive and much nicer version of, Drops Air. Like this is not a blown one. It's like, it's twisted and I prefer that, but I like that it's like lofty and like lightweight. And I've already knit up a little swatch with it to show how kind of beautiful. It's so drapey and it's just so lovely and soft. I can't explain how beautiful and soft this is, but it is just the softest, most scrumptious yarn. And I already know what jumper I'm going to make out of it. I'm going to make, I can't remember the name of it, but I'll put a picture up. It's from my Knits to Wear book by Veronica Lindberg. And I just think this beautiful green would be so stunning. I love greens. I love every color, I love pinks, I love greens, I love blues. That's pretty much all of them. But it's so pretty, and it's just such a lovely soft yarn. And I wanted that the jumper that I want to make out of it requires like 2 strands of lace weight and like 1 strand of fingering, which is like kind of like a lofty, lightweight but thicker gauge. And I don't really want to hold 2 strands of mohair or 2 strands of suri again with a fingering, because that makes the project very expensive. And although this is not exactly a cheap yarn in any sense, I feel like this is going to be a lot less hassle to knit with because I don't want to deal with 3 balls again. And it's also going to be just really delectable and lovely and light and easy throw on, but still warm. So I'm very excited to make a sweater out of that. I don't know when that will happen because I've obviously got to finish the whips that I do have. But that's everything so far. Alrighty, so that brings us to the end of the podcast episode. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so glad you got to hear all my knitting goodies. And, if you would like, feel free to subscribe. I release videos every 2 to 3 weeks. And you can check me out on my Instagram at smash.knits. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'll catch you guys next time. So, bye.